My name's Joanne Faulkner and I'm a shiatsu practitioner, and I specialise in the energy of food in traditional Chinese medicine. What really interests me in traditional Chinese medicine is the link that is made between the mind and the body. So it becomes a holistic look at life and the way that we're living and how our body is operating, how our mind is working, what symptoms they're producing. Sometimes these are things we want, and sometimes these are things we don't want. So the word itself, holistic, is a look at the whole, and this is the basis of traditional Chinese medicine. The universal truth is that everything is whole. We're just part of energy, and we're energy made matter. This table is energy made matter. It was a tree, and then the tree was chopped down, so that changed from a tree into a table, and then this table one day will disappear, and maybe it'll become firewood, or maybe it will just disintegrate. I don't know what it'll be, but it will change. And that's the universal truth of traditional Chinese medicine, is that everything will change. And so we use this in a way to really understand the body, because my body is very different than it was 20 years ago, and it was very different than it was 47 years ago. You know, we're changing all the time. And it's traditional Chinese medicine really gives us a handle on how to understand that changing energy. So it depicts this energy as a whole, so it depicts it as a circle. And we understand that circle as never having an end and never having a beginning. It just is energy transforming. But that doesn't really mean to say, well, what's that got to do with sweet cravings? What's that got to do with helping diabetes? What's that got to do with sleeping better? Well, it's about understanding the body as this holistic energy system. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we split this whole into two. And we understand this circle of never-ending energy as a yin and a yang. So you're familiar with this, it's become very popular as a tattoo. This symbol of having two parts that make up a whole, but it's never just black and white. There's a little bit of white in the black, and there's a little bit of black in the white, and that's the yin and the yang. It's not two opposites pulling against each other, which is kind of the Newton's third law, that for every force there's an opposing force. Rather, in traditional Chinese medicine, there's a dance between these forces, and the yin and the yang are, like I said, they're split into two. Because they're split into two, it helps us to understand the whole, because really everything that we understand is in relation to something else. I understand light. I understand that it's daytime because I know what nighttime is. I understand happiness because I've experienced sadness. Everything is relative. So even if we take temperature, if I was to say cool, the opposite of that wouldn't be really hot. The opposite would be warm. So the opposite of cold is hot. So it's all relative in its degrees of yin and yang. But those simple things really help us understand the body and the signals and the symptoms that it's giving us. Am I feeling really hot? Why am I feeling really hot? Could have had an argument with someone, you know, that makes you feel really hot in the face. Could have eaten curry, that makes you feel really hot. So what could you do? Well, if you were really hot in the face, usually anger is around the liver. So you'd want to eat foods that cool and cleanse the liver. So you might have, I talked about this before in another video, that you might have chrysanthemum tea. That would be great to cleanse and cool the liver. Also, I talked about eating a hot curry. Well, often to go with a hot spicy curry, you might have cooling yogurt. So we're very used to eating yin and yang. So cheese forms lots of mucus and can be very, very cooling for the body. A little too cooling if you live in a damp climate. So often we have that together with onion. An onion is a very warming food. If you've cut onions, you know that it makes all the mucous membranes move, it warms them. So you often eat yin and yang. You put those two together. In traditional Chinese medicine, we're really looking for balance. So if we want to understand our bodies and the symptoms it's giving us, and understand the the cravings. So perhaps we're craving sweets, we're craving sugars. So why would that be? Well, so we'd look for that kind of satisfaction in other things. We'd look to make a whole picture. We wouldn't look to stop the craving, but we'd look to address why it's happening. So this is really looking at, in Chinese medicine it's called looking at the roots rather than at the branch. So rather than just taking the symptom and wanting the symptom to stop and go away, we actually look at the cause of what's going on, and that's the cycle of the yin and yang. So following on from this universal truth, which gets split into two, the yin and the yang, which helps us understand our body, it's then further split into 5 elements. And that's what I do. I do 5 element shiatsu. So I take the seasons, I take the colours, the emotions, all of these fit together to give us understandings of the body. So if you want to find out more about this and understand your body using these kind of 5 elements of flavours, colours, emotions, and see the body as a whole picture, your emotions, your thoughts, creating physical conditions, and vice versa, physical conditions relating to the mind and how we think and those patterns that are created. If you want to find out more about that, click on the link for the next upcoming online course. It'll be all about stopping sweet cravings, and sweet cravings are really to do with the stomach and the spleen, which give us the sweet flavour. So any of those kind of cravings and insatiable appetites, if you want to address those and look at what perhaps could be the emotional cause and how to address those with different foods, such as oranges, sweet potatoes, butternut squash. If you can see, they're all orange when you cut into them. So the flavours and the colours and the foods, if you want to know more about that, click on the link to join in with the upcoming online course. Also, if you want to buy the book, you can visit their website, www.joannefaulkner.org, and that also gives a whole picture of all 5 elements and what you can eat and how that makes you feel. Thanks very much for watching the video, and I'll see you online soon. Thanks, bye.